Welcome back, everybody, to your three-man booth. I'm Dan Salem with Phil and Bud. We're going around the horn today. We're going to NFC preview it for the 2020 season. We're heading straight for it, and we're each going to name one big surprise. I'll get things kicked off, unless you guys have any off-topic thoughts to start the show with. We can dive right into our surprises.
Let's go. Let's dive in.
All right, sports are back. I think the Los Angeles Rams will maybe return to the playoffs. I'm 50-50 if I want to pick them to win the NFC, but they were representing the NFC just a couple seasons ago in the Super Bowl. They had a down year last year at 7-9, but I do feel like they've cleaned up some of the big money players off their roster. I think the Rams are going to make it back. I think they win the NFC West and will be a major playoff threat. We'll do a predictions piece and I'll have to make a final decision on how far they go. But the Rams are my surprise this year. Everyone's kind of picking against them. I think they make a splash in their new stadium.
Well, they were 9-7, but so they're gonna hop the defending NFC champs and Seattle, huh?
Yeah, we can get it. I'll give you my reason after you guys give us
All right.
surprises.
I was gonna stay in that division actually and say I don't know if it's a big surprise, but with the off-season acquisition of DeAndre Hopkins, the more of attention to the offensive line and Kyler Murray being in his second year, the tools for Arizona to make a hop are there. I'm not going to say win the division. I will say fight for that last playoff spot because, they expanded the playoffs this year. So I'll say they're going to be at least in a battle for that final playoff spot.
Ooh.
Where they were 5-10 last year.
All right. Well, we got some interesting dual NFC West surprises.
Yeah. I'm looking and Bud's going to make his, but I don't see Carolina. They were at the bottom last year. I really don't see Detroit. They were at the bottom last year. I certainly don't see Washington. They were at the bottom last year. So
yeah, well, I like you're not doing necessarily worst to first, but you're getting like a worst to the playoffs. I like that.
Yeah, but of all those teams I mentioned, personally, I don't see them. But let's see what Bud's got.
Okay.
I'm going to go Falcons.
Ooh.
I just think that, the last 2 years, injuries have really kind of cost them. I don't think that Matt Ryan is as bad as he's played the last year and a half. If he had a healthy offensive line and a healthy defense, I think that team they probably don't win that division, but with the expanded playoffs and the additional team, they could certainly sneak in there as the second wild card team, without a doubt. In my mind.
Yeah, they were really close last season. I think I'm trying to remember if it was a game or
where did they go? 7-9.
They were
or something
7-9 last year too. Yeah, 7-9.
Yeah, they lost a couple close games. They play in a really hard division. But to your point, Dan, we're not talking about who's gonna win the division. I still think that the Saints are gonna win that division, and the Tom Terrific is down there now too. But there's always gonna be that. With the addition of the extra playoff team, I could see them going 9-7.
They're only a couple seasons removed from running away with the conference also. So
they were 3 years ago? They were a quarter away from winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same team. They added a couple pieces, but I think if everyone stays healthy, it could be a good team.
Yeah. So I'll flip this back around because if the Falcons get in, that means somebody stays home from last season, and that always is how it goes. I don't think much of us have confidence in the NFC East to begin with. So who's staying home from last year? It's got to be an NFC West team, maybe.
It's got to be Seattle. It's got to be Seattle. Seattle won all those games last year with smoke and mirrors. Phil constantly says on the podcast that Russell Wilson can only carry that team for so much. And now that Tom Brady's in the NFC South, you got to think that the Buccaneers, who have a world of talent on their football team, are going to be much better than they were last year, with a very capable quarterback that's not throwing 30 interceptions in the year. Think about how good Tampa could have been last year if Jameson Winston didn't turn the football over 45 times last year.
Yeah,
and you're going to get a quarterback that's going to be consistent who's not going to do that. So, I would have to think that Tampa is going to be in there, and I just picked Atlanta. So,
yeah. So you like them three from the South, and that's
yeah.
That means the Bears probably stay home, the Vikings probably stay home, or the Packers stay home.
Also. The Bears are going to be terrible. Who's their quarterback?
Yeah, Well,
I mean, their defense can only carry them so long. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky is
didn't they bring in Foles?
They did.
Yeah, so maybe Foles. This is his third strike in
Nick
your
Foles but Dan, Nick Foles has played for what 4 other football teams other than a team named the Eagles, and he's sucked on every one of them. And he's gone back to Philadelphia, and he won them a Super Bowl, and now he has a bronze statue next to Rocky.
I'll give this to Nick Foles. He is in the right position to succeed. The team needs a game manager, someone that can simply put the ball where it's supposed to go and not make turnovers. He did that before very successfully for the Eagles. I'm not suggesting he's necessarily going to do it again, but if he knocks that chip off his shoulder, this is the position with the team. They got the defense, they got the running game. So I don't. I'm not a proponent of the Bears. Well, but he could surprise us. I don't think he will, but all right. So, but tell us why Phil and I are wrong, because we both picked NFC West teams, which means the 49ers are likely. I don't know. We all are against Seattle, but what are your thoughts on the West, since we picked some surprises there?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sold on the Rams. I mean, they didn't look very good last year. I'm not sold on Jared Goff. I mean, I think a couple of years ago he had a good year, and I mean, if you look at his other seasons, he's been mediocre. I think people are starting to figure out McVay's offensive schemes, and I just think that they've kind of been, maybe they're just a little one-hit wonder. I agree with Phil. I think Arizona is going to be better. But I don't think that they're nearly the caliber of a Seattle or a San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco, they're basically returning their entire team from last year. And again, if they could just hold the lead, they're Super Bowl champions last year. I mean, they're a quarter away from winning a Super Bowl. So It's already the NFC is much more difficult to predict because you have better teams in the NFC.
It still remains to be seen if the Super Bowl hangover reigns true, because you traditionally the Super Bowl loser, I mean, barely makes it to the playoffs again. You would think, all right, they're a shoo-in to meet Kansas City again for a rematch, but that's never usually the case.
No, and so my issue with the 49ers is that last year was the first year that they had such big success in a while with this current team anyways. And I got the impression that they overachieved. We all thought they'd be good last year, but they vastly exceeded everyone's expectations. If they're fall down to earth by even a game or two, they're seriously going to
I mean, they went from 2-14 to 13-3 in one season, which is.
But even if there's a 2-game skid on that, 2-game difference, Dan, they're still going to be 11-5, and chances are they're probably going to win the division.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I mean, I would have to think at 11-5 in that division, they're probably going to win.
I got a hard time seeing them do better than split with everybody in that division right now, because I feel like they fall down to the mean a little bit. I don't love the Seahawks, but I don't see them much worse than 7-9. Maybe they stumble to 6-10, because that team always just pulls a couple of games out of its butt. I agree with Phil. Arizona's better. I think the Rams play better. I think that their luck has been wavering, but they've been around a 10-win team for a few years running. And something tells me that the last season was a little too good to be true for 49ers. I'm not suggesting that they tumble all the way back down to below 8-8, but I don't know. I could see them falling all the way to 9-7 with a couple of strokes of bad luck. Excuse me.
Hey, listen, they got to come to MetLife Stadium this year in week 2 or 3, so good luck.
Who cares? So it's not. There's no home field advantage.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's probably going to be a win for the Niners anyway.
Listen, I personally, and I think maybe you've spoken about this, Phil. On a separate note of the whole NFC thing, I really think that it's unfair that some teams are going to be allowed to have fans in their stadium, and other teams aren't. Kansas City came out today or yesterday and said that they want to fill their stadium 25% capacity. Playing in Kansas City is one of the hardest places to play in the league. So what makes you think that when the Jets go to Kansas City this year, first off, they're going to get smoked anyway. It doesn't really matter. but now they got to play in front of some of the craziest fans in the league, and then everybody else gets to go to MetLife Stadium, and there's
no one there.
There's nobody there but the planes.
So we're all down on the NFC East, but the Dallas Cowboys are going to have fans, and nobody else in that division is going to have fans. I would have picked the Eagles, but do you think the fans play a big enough factor that pushes Dallas?
Well, but we were talking about this the other day. What they're going to allow 20% capacity?
No,
that
Jerry
stadium
Jones
holds 100.
Jerry Jones wants 50% capacity in his stadium.
All right. That stadium holds 110,000. Yes, 50,000 is still a lot of people, but you're going to have, 10 people in this section, 50 people in this section. It's going to, I don't know. It's going to contribute a little bit. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that some teams are literally going to get a competitive advantage by having fans. That blows my mind.
Now the broadcasts, do you think they'll just fill in the stadium for us so that they all look the same?
They're doing that with baseball.
Yeah.
Oh, with the cardboard cutouts. So interesting.
No. They're doing it on Fox. When the Yankees are playing on Fox, they're actually like digitally imposing a crowd.
Are they? I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. It looks weird. It looks very, very weird.
So for the Dallas Cowboys games, will they digitally impose next to real people? That would be even funnier.
It's so I don't know how much of the NBA bubble you've watched, but they have a board behind where the players sit, and it's virtual fans. But the virtual, it's not like we're pretty clear and you can see the hand movements. They're like this, and I don't know how it's not distracting to the people seeing out of the corner of their eye when they're trying to shoot a basketball. You see people, hands sort of moving around like that. I don't know. I guess it doesn't bother them, but it looks weird.
Perhaps they're intentionally trying to distract the away team, even though they're all kind of in the same bubble.
No, it looks weird. It does look weird.
Yeah. Well, if the Lakers flame out, that'll be their excuse. It was the digital flame.
They're not going to flame out.
But it's just I've only heard of Dallas, Kansas City, and that's pretty much. I mean, damn, there's no one sitting in California going to SoFi Stadium this year. So you have a $2 billion stadium, no one can even go in it.
Not allowed. No.
Florida said that they're going to have fans.
You know what? I bet they do it at SoFi Stadium. We're allowed to do things outdoors. I could see them organizing outdoor restaurants with social distance seating in the massively sprawled parking lot around the stadium and have 1,000 people at a restaurant outside the game watching.
The Chargers can go back to that soccer stadium if they wanted to, right? That's outdoor.
They only paid $1 to play at SoFi Stadium. They might as well use it. Something ridiculous like that.
That's gonna look weird. That's just gonna look weird. I mean, listen, we're gonna see it in 3 weeks 3 weeks from tomorrow because Kansas City is the opener.
So the interesting thing about us with our surprises, and then let's dive into the rest of the conference in a second. We don't have any injuries. We don't have any on the field action to pudge off of. We got the opener with Kansas City. We always see August injuries, and it really, really affects our ability to discern the league. We have none of that right now. Are we to assume everyone's healthy? Like, what do you think?
Here's what I assume, Dan. For the first 3 weeks of training camp, everybody has had to keep their social distancing, and nobody's had to contact.
They just started contact Monday.
They just started contact this week. This is a big week for the NFL. This is when you're going to start to see injuries. This is when COVID is going to be crucial because now you're sweating and you're spitting and you're right on top of each other and you're tackling people. This is a big week for the NFL. If the NFL can come out of this week somewhat injuryless and no COVID cases, I think it bodes well for how the season is going to progress.
Yeah.
As you all know, I've been I don't think that they're going to get through a season. I'm shocked that they're even at this point going to try. Considering how college campuses are now just closing everywhere. I would say, to your point, let's see how this week kind of plays out now that there's actual physical contact, and now you're going to start to see injuries, I would have to think.
Yeah. Well, we'll be curious to see how much they can push those limits. I mean, it's a money-driven scenario. The college has got their tuition, so they're not as concerned about
Yeah, the only injury, it's not even an injury, but I heard Nick Chubb got his bell rung the other day because one of the, they were doing a live drill, and one of the defensive players, hit him sort of high and just kind of like rung his bell. I think they were, evaluating for a concussion, but apparently he got reprimanded for for hitting him that high. It's like, we got to hit hard, but don't be stupid about it. So
one of the Giants wide receivers is out for the year, hamstring injury, right?
No, that was an Achilles.
Oh, Achilles.
Yeah. Yeah, Cody Core, I think it was.
Was he like a backup, or I didn't know the name?
Yes. He's on the depth chart, but
Got it.
I'm trying to remember the name of the one. There was a guy last year that ruptured his ACL, and we didn't see him at all. And the name was it Cody Latimer, or was it? Oh, the name's anyway.
Yeah.
But it was, that's what we usually see. The first day or two of practice, someone tears an ACL, tears an Achilles, because you're going at full speed and these guys aren't used to it yet. So like Bud said, this week, if we can get through this week, we might be in a lot better shape.
Yeah. All right, we've been dancing around it. Phil, your Giants, NFC East. It's a weaker division, in my opinion, but a lot of these teams got chips on their shoulders. Are they going to top the Washington football team? How about the Eagles and Cowboys? Give us a little bit of outlook.
I'll guarantee you they beat the Washington football team as far as record goes. I sent you guys that stupid USA Today prediction, which holds no water by any means, because all I did was take last year's standings and pretty much not move them at all. Yes, we know the Giants had 4 wins. Yes, we know they went through a quarterback change, but they also never, at any point that Daniel Jones was playing, was Barkley, Shepard, Ingram, or Tate on the field all at the same time in any game.
Yeah.
So that said, they still grabbed 4 wins. Does that mean they're going to win more? I don't know. I can maybe see 6, right? I'm not going to be, Homer over here, and I can maybe see 6. I hope for more. But again, with none of those guys around the field, then you saw Darius Slayton shine last year. He's now a factor. It's honestly a bunch of unknowns, because they made the offensive line better. Everyone's like, oh, Nate Solder took the year off. Who the hell cares? Thank God he took the year off, because he wasn't doing us any favors.
Yeah. So yeah, and like a lot of teams, it's going to come down to that offensive line and
right.
Defensive line too.
Their first two picks were offensive linemen. So that's Andrew Thomas better be as good as everyone says he is.
And he got stuck with Leonard Williams, but he should pull his weight. I mean, he's not a superstar or anything, but
he's not. But it's like I said, it's tough because again, I like preseason. I like watching it. I just like getting the feel for it.
Yeah.
It means nothing. It's really for hopefully no one gets hurt. But I enjoy preseason. We're not going to get to see, anything at all.
I'm really looking for a reason to talk myself out of the Cowboys in that division, but I don't have a good
Listen, the Cowboys better learn how to score a lot of points, because that defense is awful. They just lost one of their defensive was it a safety or cornerback? They just lost someone big yesterday due to an injury. That defense is going to be tough as it is. Now you're taking another piece away. The offense, yes, they got Zeke and Gallup and what's the guy's name from Alabama? What the hell's his name? Who'd they draft?
Judy.
Good Judy, right?
No, Judy went to Denver.
Yeah. They got
CeeDee Lamb. That's who it was. So yeah, they have a very potent offense, but they got to make sure they can stop somebody at some point. The offense we know is going to be good. The defense is still suspect. And Philly, it's like it's a coin flip every year. I don't know. They can go 7-9. They can go 10-6. I never have a feel for them.
Shot? I mean, Carson Wentz is kind of on his last leg there, more or less.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a lot to prove this year. I mean, if he gets injured again this year, they gave him a boatload of money. So, I mean, if he gets injured again, I mean, you to your point, Dan, you got to think he's done after this year in Philadelphia. I mean, the guy just can't stay on the field.
No, I can't get a read on them. Like they probably should be better than they are, but they keep stubbing their toe every year, it feels like.
I agree.
When he's healthy, he's not a bad quarterback, and they're a good football team. He just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I'm not sure they got a solid running back to fall back on this season. They did before.
Well, they claim they're going to have Miles Sanders as their number one guy now. We saw last year Boston Scott got snaps and guys you never heard of after Miles Sanders went down. So they were doing a rotisserie of running backs. Now they claim they're going to commit to one.
Rotisserie, I like that.
A rotisserie of running backs?
Yeah, they just kept churning like this.
Okay.
We haven't talked about the
How about revolving door? Is a revolving door a better analogy for you?
It's probably a better. You're probably hungry, Phil.
The rotisserie still goes around and around too.
And it's on fire, which is
yeah, right. It's on fire.
Okay. All right. Everyone loves the Packers. They actually overachieved last season, but I'm not too sold on them. I know Aaron Rodgers only got a couple of years left, but this is year one with the new coach, right? Or was last year one?
Year two.
Year two.
Yeah.
The new coach.
They also spent their first-round draft pick on a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know if they did anything to their defense. Their defense was their undoing last season, and then they kind of pushed through it. I have a hard time picking against Aaron Rodgers, but he's not doing me any favors this season.
Minnesota? No Minnesota?
I know that's what I think I'm favoring the Vikings. We're not making official picks today. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Start with you, Bud, if you want. You like the Vikings?
With no Stephon gone?
No Stephon Diggs. I mean, you see when that offense end of last year became very, very one-dimensional. Everything was just going to Cook, and it didn't really open up the passing game at all. I would have to think that it's the Packers to lose. I mean, I think the Bears are not going to be very good. I think the Lions are a dumpster fire of an organization, as they have been for 100 years. And so, I mean, it really comes down to Minnesota and Green Bay, and I think it's going to be Green Bay.
Is this our 8-8 division winner this year, or maybe the Packers just push it up to 10?
No, I think the Packers are going to be better than that. People are kind of writing off Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got a lot to prove. I think he's got, he didn't play poorly last year. He didn't play great, but he didn't play poorly last year. And I think he has to go out and he has to prove, okay, this team wanted to draft a quarterback in the first round. I'm going to go out and I'm going to show that I can still play. And if Green Bay doesn't want me, you can trade me or you can move me to a team that needs a quarterback. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as – and Green Bay's defense wasn't terrible last year. It was okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't good enough, but it was okay. I mean, they got the playoffs. They won a game or two, I think.
It's weird, though. Green Bay drafted a quarterback in the first round. They drafted a running back in the second round, which those two positions were already filled. You got Rodgers, you got Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams there that were splitting carries. You addressed – or not, I shouldn't even say you addressed. You drafted two positions that were pretty solid to begin with. Why not give him another receiver? Why not give him something else that he can use, rather than a backup running back and a backup quarterback, which does nothing for him, but make him look over his shoulder.
Unless they're we need to add depth because the rest of the team's perfect, but it obviously isn't. So.
That's a tough sell.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, behind Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard or Martez Valdez-Scantling? I mean, those names don't scare you.
No.
Devontae Adams does, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, Tom Brady's in a quite different situation because he's got some big names at wide receiver. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are staring way up at Drew Brees. I don't know. We'll really find out how good Tom Brady is this year, I suppose. Because that Bucs team had the talent last year and couldn't put it together. You can't blame everything on Jameis Winston.
Yeah, you can. He turned the ball over 45 times last year.
Okay. But this is a team sport, all right? Wait,
hold on. So Mike Evans leads the league in receiving, and the other guy, his
Godwin.
He was second or third in the league in receiving. They had a top 5 defense, and they couldn't win a game to save their life because their quarterback just kept putting the ball on the ground.
Do you think that Tom Brady will keep Evans as the top receiver?
I think he's going to go to Gronk as many times as he wants, and Gronk is going to kill everybody.
Gronk didn't even play last year. We saw that with for Bell coming back after a year off.
He's still in the shape. He's still 6'5" and 200 something pounds. He's going to be.
Did he gain that back? Because he looked skinny when he was in the wrestling ring.
I would have to.
That was only in March.
No, it wasn't that long ago. So,
but they have a good offensive line. They have a good running game, and as long as they don't turn the football over, which Tom Brady does not turn the football over.
So
will Brady be able to get the ball downfield to Godwin and Evans all the time, because they stretch the field? They don't take 5-yard dump passes to the house. They stretch the field.
From what I saw yesterday on ESPN, that the reporters in Tampa were saying he was throwing the ball 60 yards down the field.
All right.
So Brady has proven himself in a tremendous September and early October quarterback. Then he's proven himself the old man and had to dink and dunk his way through November and December. Now, that usually worked in New England. He doesn't have the arm that Jameis Winston has, despite the turnovers. I'm skeptical. I mean, I could see them getting up to 10 wins. I don't think they win the division, but I'm very skeptical.
They're going to be what the Browns were last year. They're going to be the most hyped team of the year. They're going to be on national television 6 or 7 times, whatever the maximum amount of time is. They're going to be the one that gets all the coverage going all over the place. So I don't know if that adds any pressure. Probably not to Brady, because he's won 6 Super Bowls. But I mean, they're going to be the team in the spotlight the whole season.
Listen, everybody knows I can't stand Tom Brady. I hate him. Can't stand him. He's going to do fine. He's going to be better. He's going to be fine. And he's going to, this is like, is it the chicken or the egg, right? Which one came first? Is it Belichick or is it Brady? I think Belichick is probably going to, take a little bit of a step back. And I think Tom Brady's going to bring an element of professionalism and, to a team that hasn't had anything ever. They won 1 Super Bowl. And by the way, who was their quarterback when they won the Super Bowl?
Brad Johnson.
Okay. What did he ever do in his career?
That was the Tampa Bay defense that led them to that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's Tampa Bay's defensive coordinator right now?
Todd Bowles.
Oh boy.
What a coup that would be if Brady wins the Super Bowl with Todd Bowles.
Are you jumping back to your boys there? Did you see the quote about Adam Gase wanting to give Frank Gore a few more touches to help Bell, get through the season and not overwork him? I'm just curious if you saw that.
I didn't see that, but that just sounds like hogwash. Let's give the media something to say because we got to talk to them.
You better hope so.
But the Jets are going to be so bad.
Oh, see, I don't know. I think Gore's got more left than we give him credit for. He consistently contributes, and I mean I just like that dynamic. If they put them both on the field together, either one could get the ball. They complement each other well. Now they're both older guys. I mean, Bell's not that old, but Gore's obviously at the end of his career. Everything's laughable now. We don't have any proof to the pudding. And
right.
We have no wide receivers, Dan.
Well, we don't have wide receivers we know of yet, but that's okay. What are you guys? We got rookies.
You are so optimistic, dude. Oh my goodness!
Nobody's a star until they become one.
Our rookie wide receiver, who's supposed to be fast as the wind, in his first full practice, hurts his hamstring.
Okay.
Yeah, how fast are you now, dude?
You're right.
At least he hurt at the first practice and not the last one right before the game starts.
I guess.
I can't wait till we go through the win-loss thing and Bud goes through the Jets and it's loss.
If you've been following along what I've been writing on BuzzChomp, I mean, this is Bell's year to prove himself, and this is Darnold's year to break out. Whether or not they both happen or not, we'll see. But the pieces are in place for both of those things to happen for these.
Is this year 3 for Darnold or 4? All right, so year 3 is supposed to be the breakout year.
He's played 13 games each of his first 2 seasons. They won all 7 games with him last year, and this is the second year in this offense. He hasn't had that consistency yet. I like what I've seen from him. He's trending up. All his stats have gone up. He's got better as the year went on last year. He's got to prove it, but that's the momentum he carries into this year. I like it. Now, it's easy to say that in August, but here we are.
It's harder to say that right now, though, Dan, because we have no idea of what these teams are actually going to look like, right?
Yeah, I know. And Mike dropped for Bud on the Jets. I don't blame you.
But Dan's right. Like they were going back years now, but no one knew the name Victor Cruz until he took a 99-yard touchdown pass in preseason to the house, and then all of a sudden made a team, and the rest is history. So you're right. There could be another star there. We just don't know anything about it because none of us can watch them.
I watched Tom Brady turn no-name wide receivers into household names every single season.
Washed up ones too.
Yeah, and if Darnold's worth, I mean, he had a Hall of Famer in Gronkowski, so he always had that fallback. That could be Bell for Darnold. We don't know. Bell has played like a Hall of Famer. He's also played like an average running back, so he's done both. I don't know if we're going to get the superstar Bell or not. It depends on how the offensive line pans out. If the offensive line pans out, the sky's the limit for Darnold back there, and he can turn some of these guys into bigger names than we're used to. I want to see the good in our team, and there it is. It's also easy to see the bad. Well, I'll leave that one to you.
Here's the wild card for the Jets this year. You ready?
Yep.
Chris Herndon.
Yes.
Tight end, yes. Very much so. Tight ends make or break a lot of teams.
Well, think about how good he was in his rookie year. I mean, he didn't play at all last year.
Yeah, he missed it. Yep.
Right? And, I mean, that was one of Darnold's favorite targets. And I think having a big, strong tight end who can make catches who in the flat and make plays opens up the deep pass. It opens up lanes for Bell. I mean, it does a lot of things. Last year, they didn't really have that presence at tight end. No. So, I think that's – yeah, I mean, if he can stay healthy, that's a big thing.
Well, that's what made the 49ers so dominant last season too, was their tight end play. It was just – you can't stop a tight end as a linebacker or as a safety. Like, you just can't. They're good. Any final thoughts on the NFC? I know we diverged a little into the Jets or any other hot button issues right now. I mean, it's all –
There's nothing hot button. In fact, luckily, there's nothing hot button going around.
I know.
As we just started training camp, but
no
news is good. No news is good news on the injury front, obviously.
I'll second that. We're going to get into our predictions next show. I'm trying to figure out how we can actually make them without this information, right? That's why that stupid USA Today thing was all, let's just run it back from last year and maybe make a few tweaks.
Yeah.
Well, first of all,
that's not happening.
I think it's cockamamie anyway, because they still call it the Redskins.
Oh.
They didn't even change the Washington name.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh,
yeah. Whatever. They just changed the date on the top.
Yeah. Did you look up what they did last August for the 2019 season? I'd be curious.
It's probably close to being the same.
We should line up the USA Today predictions for the last 10 years and see.
I didn't even know that's still even a newspaper. I just happened to see that come across my phone because it was on one of the Giants strings. So I didn't even know that paper still exists, to be honest with you.
I think it's online only, but you know what? No, I take it back. I think they still deliver it at hotel rooms for free for some.
We used to get those in school. Do you remember we used to get the USA Today in school for free? Do you remember that? I don't know if you guys – I think it was like 6th or 7th grade, but we used to get those – once a week.
We used to get USA Today.
Remember that?
Yep.
What an ad campaign that was.
I remember that.
All right, guys. Well, this has been fun. We are cautiously optimistic about our football teams. Let's dive into predictions next week. I don't have any other thoughts. Unless you guys do, we can sign off on this show.
I got nothing, but the Jets play the Bills week 1. But is it going to be a win or a loss?
Ooh.
There you go.
All right.
You heard it here first.
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Share.
Woo.